Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest and exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
We are Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, coming at you from the Campbell's Custom Care Studio. You know, whether you're a pro or an amateur, working on your car can be difficult because it's so hard to see sometimes. Of course, if you're like me, you got a 6-year-old holding a flashlight, not that consistent. I love you, Lincoln, but not that great to work on the flashlight. And it's always a never-ending struggle to get the light where you need it, Kevin, but you fix that with Goose Grip. How'd you do it?
Absolutely. The very first light that we made is called the Goose Grip Mechanics Work Light. It uses a vacuum suction plate on a long, bendable gooseneck with a LED light stick at the end and a very, very special swivel. And it looks a little crazy, I know, but what we do is we take this, if we're working under the hood, we're going to take this, which is a vacuum suction plate, otherwise known as a suction cup, and we're going to take this and we're going to put it through where the hood and the wiper shelf meet, and we're simply going to guide that through, position the suction cup down at the lower end of the windshield, and we're going to clip the handles. And now you can take this and you can bend it however you want. I'm going to take the Milwaukee battery and we're going to insert that. Now we're going to turn the light on. And you get to position it however you want. If you're doing an alternator or power steering or anything down below the height of the engine, just position it where you want. And now you can work with both your hands. You don't have to worry about a light falling. It'll stay wherever you put it, and wherever you turn it to, it stays in that position. Ballerina, 360-degree rotation, and also airplane propeller. It'll stay wherever you put it. Put it any place, at any angle, and you are free to use it.
This is something that needed to exist, and here it is.
I made it for me. I'm a mechanic 40 years, and this was the first light that I made. Everything is custom made. It doesn't break. It's really the definition of rugged. Everything is steel, stainless steel, and 6061 aluminum. The light stick is 100% waterproof to 28 feet. Not that you'd put it under the water.
Where's it made?
We make them right here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, one at a time. All custom made, nothing's off the shelf. So we have another light. This is called the Goose Grip Super Articulating Chassis Light. And it uses the same design of a M12 battery in a housing and a gooseneck. It's a little shorter because you don't need all of that length under a car. And you can simply take the battery and insert it in this light, and now if you're under the car, you can clip this to an exhaust pipe or a bracket or a control arm or the frame rail, anything irregular, and under the car it wouldn't matter because it'll leave a mark, it's teeth, but under a car on an exhaust pipe would be acceptable. You couldn't use this under the hood because you're going to leave teeth marks.
We're used to the traditional hood light that hangs across the top of the hood, and you've addressed that as well for folks that like to work with that sort of light. You can also use this as sort of a backup. Maybe you want to use this in concert with one of those lights as well.
Hood lights have been around for a really long time, and they're usually about 4 or 5 pounds, and they have the big springs that hold on the edge of the hood. Like I said, 4 pounds, a lot of them. This is the Goose Grip 39-inch stick light. And this weighs 7.5 ounces.
And you've put a couple of magnetic loops up there already. And,
absolutely.
That's all you need to do.
And so, okay, you just slide it through. And now you have this light right here. And I'm going to use the portable version of the battery pack. I call it the Buffalo. And this will stick, of course, to any metal. We could actually put it on the hood and plug it in, and now you have 3,600 lumens of overhead lighting, just like a hood light.
Goose Grip's got you covered whether you're working under the hood or under the vehicle. Find all of it at goosegrip.com. And find more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. Campbell's CustomCare.com, home of the Dawn Detail Spray. And by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store.
Hey there, this is Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Today's vehicles are amazing. They're essentially rolling computers. There's all kinds of electronics in these things. And of course, that means a lot more wiring, Matt. And now you've spent years and years in the automotive business. What are some of the things you see, some of the complications that come along with wiring messes like we have in vehicles today?
Today's vehicles are just a wonderful place for actually mice to actually look for. And you know, with all of the major wiring harnesses and the engine covers and the insulation and padding, it's all building materials and safe hiding spaces for the rodents to get away from the cats and the birds and tuck themselves up inside today's vehicles.
And the problem's not just the nesting, they chew on stuff. They chew on wiring especially. And why do they do that?
Well, they're constantly teething. So they're actually, the teeth are growing, they're aggravated like a baby is when they're teething. So they're looking for the closest thing. The harnesses are actually hidden by engine covers. That's where they are hiding. And there's people that say that the soy-based wiring is actually inviting.
So they need it and it tastes great to them. So you've solved the problem though with those mice burrowing in there. It's called Mouseblocker. How does it work?
So what we do is we take the nice, comfortable, warm engine compartment and we actually make it violent. So these units actually install under the hood and they shake that space up with super powerful ultrasonic sounds and vibrations so the rodents don't feel comfortable. And so if they don't feel comfortable and safe, they're just gonna move on.
And so it's not harmful to the mouse actually. So if you love your cars and you love animals, this is the thing for you.
This is not harmful, so there's no poisons or chemicals or anything like that. This is just a rumbling in their stomach, in their insides, in a fashion that they cannot stand for an extended period of time.
And if you have it in your vehicle and your vehicle's running, you're not going to hear it anyway.
You're not going to hear it anyways because it's going to be contained to the space under the hood. When you start the vehicle, this automatically goes to sleep. So the 12-volt one wires right to the battery. You start the car, this turns itself off. You park the car at night, this comes to life to protect it while it's sitting.
So let's talk about the specific models you have here. We talked about the daily driver. So if I want to have this in my vehicle, you can have it in full time, right?
Yeah, like this you put in and it goes to work and it turns itself on and off. If the vehicle sits for an extended period of time, you're on vacation or something like that and the battery voltage drops, this actually shuts itself off to protect the battery. So when you come home, it will still start. So that's all built right into that.
So it's super smart. And what if I've got a vehicle, I don't want to install this in, maybe it's a show car, maybe there's a classic or something like that. I don't want to install it in the vehicle and I don't drive it as often. What other solutions do you have?
So vehicles that sit for more than 7 to 10 days, it's a great question because people have tractors and campers and RVs and show cars and motorcycles and stuff and their seasons and stuff, times we can't drive them. So we have a plug-in version of the Pro. And these both have our proprietary eviction mode, so they hit at 115 decibels on the highest setting. But this just plugs in simply to an extension cord. And then you set it on your asset, you set it under the hood of whatever you're trying to protect, plug it in, and let it do its thing.
Very good. And then here, this is the 1000. This is obviously a bigger unit. This doesn't go under your hood. How do we use this and how do we use it in conjunction with the Pro?
So this is a large space rodent deterrent. So this is designed with 4 long-range speakers to protect a 2-car garage. Direct protection here, then generic protection with the 1000. So we drive them out of the car, we keep them out of the car, then we drive them out of the space with the 1000. This is whisper quiet because we know it's in an open air environment, so you cannot hear this at all. Maybe little chirps here and there, but this is whisper quiet for that large space.
Now I know some folks are watching this thinking, I've got a cat, or I've got mouse traps. I don't need the mouse blocker.
Hear that all the time. The mice are actually hiding in your car from your cat. Why not help your cat? This drives them out of the spaces where your cat can't get, so your cat can actually do its job
You can let your cat do its job, let nature take its course. You don't have to use messy poisons. You can be humane to the mouse. Get them out of your vehicle with a simple insurance policy. You can find it at Mouseblocker.com. We'll return with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com right after this, so keep it right here.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, coming to you from the Campbell's Custom Care Studio.
Hey, thanks for joining us here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Today, we're going to encourage you to put your socks on. Okay, not on your feet, on your tires. This is called the Snow Sock, and it comes to us from our friends at Shark Industries. Dino, you guys have a huge catalog, first of all, at Shark. We can get into some of the other items, but this is something you brought for show and tell, and I think this is really going to help a lot of people out. How does it work?
Basically, it's an alternative to chains, and it's a fabric that absorbs the moisture from the snow that creates the slipping. And you just slip the snow sock onto the tire, and it creates additional traction. It's a traction aid.
It makes me think of skiing or ice skating, where you're gliding on the water on the surface, and that's what makes it slip.
Yes.
And this takes care of that problem. Where does that moisture go once it absorbs into here?
So it absorbs through the fabric or the textile material, and it dissipates through the tread of the tire.
Just like it would do normally.
Just like it normally, if you're driving in the rain, the tires are designed to take the water and dissipate them out the side.
Folks right now are looking at this going, really? Does that work compared to these big chains? What's the traction like with these?
It's pretty impressive. I mean, you would never think something like this would work. And I'll be honest, I was a skeptic at first, about 9 years ago when we first saw these. And I put the snow socks on, and I was amazed on how much traction. Now, you have to control the throttle. You don't want to go over 25, 30 miles an hour, similar to chains.
And you're not spinning your wheels up to 80,000 RPM.
You're not spinning your wheels. No, that's not the idea. The idea is just to allow the fabric to absorb the moisture, and it grips onto the snow. The inventor remembered as a child, his mom would put socks on his shoes to walk to school to prevent him from slipping. That concept then translated to, why don't we make a snow sock for tires?
Of course, this isn't a long-term thing. You're not going to leave this on all winter.
No, absolutely not. This is designed for the scenario where you go to work in the morning and a beautiful sunny day, and all of a sudden a storm rolls in and you end up with 6 to 8 inches of snow. And they can't clean the roads up quick enough, but you want to be able to get home with a peace of mind. And that's where the snow sock really comes in hand. And when you get home, you just remove them. They are washable. You take and throw them in the washer and just let them air dry. Throw them in the trunk of your car for the next snowstorm.
What is the installation process like?
It's so simple. You get the snow sock onto the tire as far as you can, drive the car forward, and then put the balance of the snow sock onto the tire. No more than 5 minutes aside.
And you can see with chains, just sorting them out is a mess to begin with, and figuring out what the orientation is for those chains. And remember too, you're probably going to be doing this in 20-degree weather because it's snowed on you now.
Wind's blowing, you're cold, your hands are freezing.
And the chains are going to be freezing.
And the chains are very heavy. These are very light. They're easy to maneuver and get on the tire.
Now, what's the difference between the red snow sock and the white one?
We have the classic, and then we have the super. The super is a thicker, larger weave material, just lasts longer than the classic. Traction-wise, you're not going to lose any traction by either picking the classic or the super. They're traction-wise the same.
So I see the super as being, maybe you live in a snowy place, you're using it more frequently. The red ones get you home.
Just to get you home, yes.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I love it. And now we have folks watching all over North America. Where can they use these? I know Washington State is particularly sticky. The DOT, California and Colorado are tough to get approval. Yes. Can folks use them in those areas?
Yes, absolutely. We're approved in all 3 states, and because we're approved in all 3 states, you can use it pretty much throughout the U.S.
And Canada as well.
And Canada as well.
Excellent. Now, I've mentioned the giant catalog you have at Shark Industries, and another thing you brought to show us here is the Ceramic Lube. Now, this is a 38-year-old product, but it's kind of the industry standard. What am I going to use this for?
The Ceramic Lube is used in any area that you want lubrication, that there's high heat. What it does, it allows parts to move against each other in a high heat environment like a brake, rotor, or caliper. It lubricates, it prevents squealing and sticking.
There are other folks making this. They call it ceramic. How does yours compare to theirs?
The difference is that our product has 30% solid ceramic product in it compared to our competitors. They use about 0.1% to 1%.
If you don't want to make the commitment and buy the big can of it, you can get a sample for free from our friends at Shark Industries. This will do an entire brake job?
Yes.
Excellent. You'll be sold once you do the first brake job.
Absolutely.
This is the real deal. You can check out the Ceramic Lube. You can check out the Issy Snow Sock at sharkind.com. There's also a special discount there for Motorhead Garage viewers, Snow 21. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Mega Mike's Adventure Products, optimizing the outdoor adventure. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Trucker's Warehouse, we sell and install all types of truck, Jeep, and off-road accessories.
When the going gets tough, the tough go off-roading. Welcome to this Amsoil Tech Tip. Well, folks, it's all in a name, ATV, all-terrain vehicle. That about says it all. It's going everywhere and it's in some rough environments. So it needs service just like anything else. And you can see our service checklist here. We go down here and we got our engine oil. Now, we cover that in another tech tip, but they do have pretty cool kits here. You can see it's got the oil, the filter, the O-ring, everything you want in these kits to take care of the oil. One click of the button, no trips to the parts store, you're all set. But in this tech tip, we're talking about the actual differential and the transmission. And that needs attention too, and Amsoil has us covered. I want you to look at this here. You actually have a whole bunch of gears going inside of there, which is the transmission, separate from the oil on these machines. And then you have an actual differential. Now the differential, we're talking about a pinion, we're talking about a ring gear, we're talking about a lot of friction and a lot of issues going on inside of there if you don't use good quality oil. You can see right here, the actual CVT transmission, that's up to 270 degrees in these machines. Now in a differential, we're talking about 280 degrees, and that's a little differential. There's not a lot of fluid in there. You guys got to build a robust product for that.
You do, because that is hot. That is extremely hot. These things do not hold much. Some of these hold as little as 5 ounces of oil. That is a tiny amount of oil that you're asking to do a very large amount of work. And what's the first thing you do to your machine when you get it? You modify it.
Absolutely.
You put bigger tires on it. You put a lift kit in it, all adding stress onto that differential. So the product needs to be built very, very strong. You got to start with good building blocks, and that's going to be the base oils, high-end synthetics, proper amount of additives, right? We need the wear protection. We want the rust and corrosion. We need all of those good things in there. Plus, we're dealing with that heat, so our detergency and our antioxidants have to be where they need to be.
Yeah, so go to amsoil.com, whether you want an engine oil kit or you want to take care of the transmission, the differential, they got you covered.
Now you may think you're a neat freak when it comes to your vehicle. Maybe you take it to the car wash every single week. Maybe you clean the interior and vacuum it. But I bet the inside of your windshield looks terrible like mine does. You probably haven't touched it in months. Tell me, Aaron, why do people avoid the inside of the windshield so much?
Well, let me ask you, Dave, how often do you do the inside of your windshield?
As I said, just about never.
Just about never, and it's because it's hard to do, right?
Yep.
It's hard to reach in there. It's hard to get past your dashboard. It's hard to get past the steering wheel. We've solved your problem here. So you have an inside paddle and you have an outside paddle held together by a strong magnetic force. Put a towel on each side, spray it with cleaner, and go to town.
You can do the inside and the outside at the same time here.
That's correct.
Now there's the basic kit there, the gift set. You also have stuff for pros, and I know you yourself are a pro, and those kits are available on the website as well. But let's see how it actually works here.
You're gonna spray your outside towel and set your paddle down. Do the same thing with your inside paddle. Give a nice generous spray. Connect the two paddles and start washing. And as you can see, I'm washing the inside and the outside at the same time, very effectively, easily.
That's fantastic. And what about a vehicle like this? If you're wondering if you got a Jeep, maybe a semi-truck, locomotive, jet aircraft, something you can't reach the inside or the outside of, well, this is a simple job too. Let me show you. All you have to do is you get both pads wet. This can rest there while you're getting the inside towel ready to go. Now I know, Aaron, you are a professional detailer, as I mentioned.
Correct, yep.
How much time and effort does this save you every day in your job?
This is saving me at least half the time. And as a detailer, that means more money in my pocket. I'm getting it done faster, and I'm not breaking my back reaching over the steering wheel. As you can tell, you're doing everything very easily from the outside.
Well, if you're a pro, or if you just want to keep your windshield clean at home, this is the way to go, let me tell you. It's called the Windsield WOW. You can find it at windshieldwow.com. Just a few weeks ago, we had this stunning 1968 Chevelle in the studio. I got to talking to the owner, and I just knew we had to make him our PaintedAutoparts.com Motorhead of the Week. Now, his name is Clell Farmer, and he's out of Abingdon, Virginia. Clell told me he started learning about bodywork when he was just 8 years old, hanging out in his dad's body shop. Clell made a career working on cars, and of course his hobby is working on cars, as so often is the case. And just check out Clell's collection here. A 68 Chevelle in Le Mans Blue to go along with the maroon one you've already seen. And don't forget the 66 Chevelle convertible too. And Clell's got pickups from 1963 and 1972. Both of those are works in progress. A couple of 1960 Impalas, and how about this? A 1972 Corvette convertible, red on red with factory air and a 454 under the hood. Clell says it's one of only 15 ever made. Super rare car. And this is the part I love the most. Every one of these cars is insured and tagged, and Clell drives them a lot. He is Clell Farmer, and he is our PaintedAutoparts.com Motorhead of the Week. Hey, if you love things that go, or if someone you know is a true motorhead, just send us a note at motorheadgarage.tv. Tell us why you or your friend should be our Motorhead of the Week. We're going to do this again next week. We hope you join us then. In the meantime, so long from all of us here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com.